Like the video, subscribe to The Explainer, and stay informed about the world that shapes our future.
A new war is brewing in the Middle East, and it could drag on for a lot longer than anyone thinks. So today, let's break down this escalating conflict between the United States and Iran and really get into what it means for the rest of the world.
You gotta understand, this isn't just some off-the-cuff political remark. It's a statement of intent. With these words, former President Donald Trump is basically telling the world that he has the stamina, the political will, for a long, drawn-out fight. So, what does this all mean for global stability? For the future of the Middle East? Are we in fact looking at the start of another forever war? All right, let's get into the specifics.
It's kind of confusing, right? On one hand, you hear the White House talking about this whole thing lasting maybe a few weeks, but then, in the very next breath, Trump himself warns this could be a historic war. That's a huge difference, and it just shows you how much uncertainty there is even at the very top.
And look, behind all the political strategy and the big talk, there's a real human cost. The U.S. military has already lost more than 6 service members. It's a really sobering reminder that every single day this conflict goes on, that price just gets higher.
And then you hear this. This isn't just a warning. It's practically a promise of escalation. When the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says something like, "The hardest hits are yet to come," it signals a very deliberate strategy to ramp things up. The real question is, what does that even look like?
Okay, so if the plan is for a long and escalating war, what's the end goal? I mean, what does winning actually look like for the United States here? Well, the administration's answer is surprisingly ambitious.
So it's basically a two-step plan, and these goals are totally intertwined. First, you destroy Iran's missile program. Second, you install a new government. But you can't really get to step 2 without crushing step 1. And honestly, achieving both would require a military commitment on a scale we just haven't seen in years.
Now, you'd think for something this big, America couldn't do it alone. Or could it? Let's take a look at how its closest allies, especially over in Europe, are reacting to this whole crisis. You can just feel the diplomatic tightrope America's allies are walking here. NATO is offering words of support, sure, but absolutely no troops. They've explicitly said the alliance will not join the war. Meanwhile, the EU is basically just telling its members to brace for impact. The subtext here is pretty clear. Europe is worried, and they're not about to get dragged into another war in the Middle East. And that warning from the EU about severe economic impacts? Yeah, they weren't exaggerating. This conflict has the potential to hit the global economy right where it hurts the most, its oil supply. It really all comes down to this one narrow strip of water. To put this in perspective for you, about 1/5 of the entire world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. Iran's threat to shut it down, that would be like clamping a major artery of the global economy.
And because of that, major oil importers are already in crisis mode. India has enough oil in its reserves to last about 2.5 months. Japan, well, they're a bit better prepared with a massive 250-day supply, but even that can't last forever. This is a global scramble to prepare for the worst.
And that fear, that anxiety, it's already spilling over into the stock markets. From Thailand to China, investors are getting really nervous. They know that a big spike in oil prices could trigger a recession, and they're already starting to sell.
But the economic chaos might just be the opening act. The real story, the one with the most profound, long-term consequences, is how this conflict is rearranging the entire geopolitical chessboard.
See, Iran has a massive arsenal of missiles, and to counter that threat, the U.S. is being forced to make a really difficult choice. There's serious talk in Washington of moving some of its most advanced missile defense systems. We're talking about things like THAAD and Patriot batteries out of the Pacific and redeploying them all the way over to the Middle East to protect troops and allies there. Now, this would leave key American allies like South Korea and Japan way more exposed, and you can bet there is one country watching this development very, very closely.
And that brings us to this crucial concept in geopolitics, the golden opportunity. It's that rare moment when your main rival is distracted, creating the perfect window for you to make a move that you just couldn't make before.
So let's put all the pieces together. You have the US getting bogged down in the Middle East. You have Europe completely focused on the war in Ukraine. For China, this isn't just a series of random events. It's being seen as a once-in-a-century opportunity.
And that leaves us with a question that will likely define the 21st century. With America's military might and political attention focused somewhere else entirely, has the door just been thrown wide open for Beijing to finally achieve its longest-held ambition, the unification of Taiwan? The entire world is watching, and the answer, well, it could change everything.